Hello, Randy Hawthorne here, executive editor of Nonprofit Hub, and I'm with my friend Clover Frederick for another Today's Talk. How are you doing, Clover?
I'm great. Thanks. Thanks for having
Awesome.
me.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, we've talked for a half hour already, and now we're just getting online and doing the thing for everyone else out there.
That's right.
And so today we're going to talk a little bit about New Year, New You, right?
hmm
And by what I mean New You, I mean the nonprofit. I mean, I think the nonprofit sector has some good opportunities kind of rolling out of we're now in yellow in our community as far as our risk
hmm
dial. So it'll be interesting as we move forward. So Clover, you do a lot of consulting with a lot of different nonprofits, and you mentioned that there are some that actually have come out of COVID with a little bit more money than they are used to.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts of how, what do you do with that?
I think for everybody, it's time to dust off that strategic plan. Even those organizations that are really good about executing their strategic plan had to shelve it last year and really, all the pivoting so much that we were turning in circles sometimes. And that's okay in a crisis situation, stick to your North Star, but if you need to set aside some of those initiatives you were hoping to do, that makes total sense. But every organization now, I think it's time for you to dust off that plan again, or maybe start from scratch. And your organization might be coming from it in a couple different ways. It could be that fundraising was a struggle last year. And that's going to totally reset your goals. You're going to have to think differently about providing service. But I've actually heard from several nonprofits that they're actually sitting on a little more money than they thought they were going to be sitting on. Part of that was PPP loans that were forgiven. It could be that they worked in an area that served the COVID situation, or perhaps serving people of color, and they received more donations last year than they normally would. So now they're sitting on a little extra money. And now it's time for the board and the staff to get together and think about what is it our organization could do with those funds to best deploy them to fit our mission. So it's important to think of that from a strategy perspective.
Exactly. And what an amazing time to think about. Most nonprofits, most responsible nonprofits that I'm aware of always have that goal of having a little nest egg so that when there's a rainy day, they have some a little extra. But maybe some of these nonprofits are sitting on something that they can finally dig really deep into the back of their strategic plan on an initiative they've been wanting to do for years, and be able to pull that out and start working on that. So, and
That's
I know,
exactly
like
right.
for me, in the nonprofits that I volunteer for or work with, um, some of the things that have come out of this is we have to adjust some of our services. We have to think through what is it that we're going to be as an organization as we come out of this on the other side. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This is strategic plan time, and it's probably time in a lot of cases to just blow them up and see what new things you can do, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Whether the right thing to do is to say, "Oh man, this is the time to put our reserve away." Whether that's a 6-month operating reserve, maybe more or less, depending on what you have for staff and regular income. But if you don't have a reserve right now, and you do have a little bit extra that came in, set it aside. Have your board develop a financial policy to go with that, so you know how to appropriately spend that and tap into it when necessary. But that's going to make you a lot healthier as an organization to have that set aside. Maybe you already have that reserve and you're saying, you know what, we've really got to deploy this. I want you to be dreaming big and thinking about, gosh, if we could hire 2 more staff, what could we do with that? Or how can we, you may be thinking, how do we deliver service? You can't deliver service without people. So are there additional people positions that you could hire for right now? New materials you could purchase, upgrading your technology. I think it's really important and should be on all of our radars to take a look at some of the initiatives that maybe we've had on the back burner because we weren't really sure what to to deploy them. How do we work on equity in our community? How do we work on equity in our organization? If you've got those extra funds, now's the time to pull that to the top of your strategic plan, because there are so many wonderful resources out in the community that can help you do that, out in the United States right now and in the world, that are really working on those. So now's the time to, fire up those initiatives and certainly utilize that funding as in the best possible way for your mission.
Well, thank you so much, Clover, for being here and for giving us a little insight on get those strategic plans going, everyone.
That's right.
I really appreciate you being here and for actually all that you do for Nonprofit Hub and for me personally, and for my community, our
Absolutely.
community, right?
We have a great community here, don't we, Randy?
Yes, it's awesome. So, hey, if any of you out there have any challenges that you want to share or any success stories that you have as a nonprofit organization, we'd love to hear from you. Just hit us up on those little Facebooks and we'll get you on our next Today's Talk. So thanks everyone for being here, and go out and do more good.